So I went to the chiropractor this week. I was doing heavy lifting and lots of jobs, and I hurt my back and my rib. And because I've put ribs out of place several times in the past, I could tell that I had at least one, if not several ribs that were out of place. And I was at home and I was stretching and rolling out my back on my foam roller, just kind of buying some time till I could go see the chiropractor. And I was like hoping, that it would just kind of set itself back into place. So I finally went to the chiropractor after a couple of days. My back was on the mend, but I knew going to the chiropractor was what I needed to do to get my ribs fully back in place, and then also to expedite the healing of my body. So I went to the chiropractor. I was in bad shape. I was in a lot of pain, and I lay down on the table and I just said, go careful on me, please. I said, I think I have a couple of ribs out of place. So I'm in a lot of pain. So go careful on me, please. And he's like, okay. So lay down, he pop, turns me on one side, does my pops, turns me on the other side, does all my pops and stuff. And then, as I'm finishing, he says, that wasn't the best adjustment. I should have just dug into you in the beginning. Like I knew I needed to get that pop. And so, I just was thinking like, I'm glad you didn't dig into me, because that would have hurt me. Like I was in pain. And, even right after he adjusted me, my back flared up, and it was like, wasn't happy about the adjustment. So I walked out of there actually in more pain than I walked in there with. But I knew, like, from past experiences, okay, this is going to hurt for a while. It's inflamed. Like, I can barely move. I was like so stiff. But I knew that, healing and restoration to my body was coming. Well, that's how it normally worked out. So I was trusting that it would work out this time as well. Go home, put some ice on it, get some more rest. So I go home. I'm really stiff. I can barely do anything. I rest for a little bit. A little while later, I stood up and I was sitting forward like this. I have this little half wall. I was sitting forward on it, listening to somebody was talking to me. And so I'm listening to them, not really paying attention to, like the position that I had put my body in and my back. And so then I go to move backwards and stand up. And when I do that, I go back and stand up, and I had this big jolt in my back, my spine, my rib-ish area, and big pop, and it hurt really bad. I was like, oh, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go rest. Like my back just got worse. It really hurt. It was kind of throbbing. And then, I don't know, a minute or two later, I was like, whoa, that was the pop that I needed. And so my back felt really good. My ribs, something popped back into place, and the pain was like, mostly gone, not completely gone at that point, but I was just like, wow, like I could move better. And then I was just like, oh wow, like, and I was thinking back, like the chiropractor knew that I needed that harder adjustment, that firmer adjustment than what he gave me. And he was gentler on my back because I asked him to be. But right after he did it, and he saw that I didn't adjust as well as I needed to, and that I was in a lot of pain, and he was like, oh man, wishing that he would have just done a firmer adjustment on my back. And so, afterwards, when I realized like what had just happened, sorry, I just had to move my car right in the middle of this message. Afterwards, when I realized what happened, and I was sitting there, I was just laughing to myself, because the Lord gives me a lot of analogies. I don't know if that's how he made my brain, or that's what he likes to give me, but he likes to give me a lot of analogies, and they make a lot of things make sense and put things into perspective that, I'm thinking about, or that I'm learning or walking through at that point. And, sorry, I just totally got distracted. So my back. So I was just sitting there thinking and laughing about, isn't that the way that things go for us in our walk with the Lord? Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. Give me a sec. Okay, sorry. I had to move my car. I'm back. But I was just laughing, and the Lord just was leading me and showing me how, reminding me of the Bible verse. Actually, I'll read it to you right here. Hebrews 12:6. The Lord disciplines those he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. I was just reminded, so the chiropractor wasn't disciplining me, but he was helping me. My body was out of alignment. My body was not functioning the way that it was supposed to, and he knew what he needed to do to help me. And he knew it was going to hurt me at the time, but he knew that it was for my good, and he knew it would be a good outcome and that it would get me back in alignment. And so hoping you can see the analogy between the verse about the Lord disciplining us and what the chiropractor did to my back, even though he didn't do it as hard as he needed to. I'm thankful that the Lord is gentle with us, and he's compassionate with us. However, when we need to be chastened, when we need to be disciplined, he gives us what we need, even when it's not comfortable, even when it's going to hurt, not to hurt us or harm us. But the same way, the chiropractor, he's like, knowing that it's going to cause some pain, but it's better off, that way. And I was just so thankful, number one, that when our life is off course, or, the choices or decisions that we're making, whatever it is, when we need to be disciplined, that the Lord does that, and he does it in a loving and kind way. And I was also thankful, number two, that, my chiropractor held back because I asked him to, but then the end result was, oh wow, that didn't turn out as great as he knew it could have. I'm so thankful that the Lord doesn't hold back, and that he knows what is good, and that when we surrender ourselves and say, Lord, have your way, show me these things, like, I'm so thankful that he doesn't hold that discipline back when we need it, because even though it's painful and uncomfortable when we're going through it, we can look back and see how merciful he is and how loving he is, even through those times when he needs to chastise and discipline us. And then I was just reminded of what a loving father he is through that discipline and that chastisement, that he's loving and kind and compassionate, and if you've had a father who's been harsh, or a father figure, or even a parent who's harsh, I'm sure we've all experienced that at different times, to different measures, different degrees. And what am I trying to say here? The Lord is not like an earthly parent. So where our parents have lost control, or operated out of, ungodly anger, or God is not like that. He has self-control, and he's the perfect parent. So when you hear the word discipline or chastisement, just know that it's coming from God, the perfect father, and it's different from the things that we have received from our earthly parents. So I just wanted to point out, don't be afraid of that. It's loving kindness. So welcome that, and ask the Lord to show you the areas and to discipline you in the areas where you need that, and to clean up those areas of your life, maybe that you've been holding back, out of fear. And we don't need to be afraid of the Lord, because he's not going to hurt us. He's not coming after us in order to harm us and cause pain. He's not like dropping his wrath on us. That's not the way that he disciplines us. So I welcome the discipline of the Lord, because just like, that thing, my back, it hurt so bad, but then after that I could move, I could do the things I needed to. My body was back on track, and it's the same thing with the Lord. And make yourself vulnerable to him, and know that he comes from a loving place. Another thing that reminded me was this Bible verse, Proverbs 27:6. And it says, faithful are the wounds from a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Another way that it's read, Proverbs 27:6 says, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. And I was also reminded of this verse from this experience with my back, just how, the chiropractor, he's like the friend that wounded me. He came from a place of care and concern, caring for my body, caring for my health, and wanting to get rid of my pain. And so even though he inflicted a wound, he didn't do it from malice or a hateful place. He did it from care and concern, and the outcome was good. Now that's what a wound from a friend looks like. I'm not talking about unhealthy or toxic relationship. People are trying to harm you, to have revenge, or I'm not talking about that kind, but in Proverbs 27:6, it tells us. So it was just reminding me to make sure that we have those kinds of people in our lives. And if we don't, ask the Lord to send those kinds of people to us, as well as us learning through reading the Word and talking with God, how can we be that kind of person in someone else's life? Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Where we tell the truth to our friends, we surround ourselves with people who tell the truth to us, even though the truth doesn't always feel good. But there are ways that you can deliver the truth in gentle, kind, loving ways. It doesn't mean that the other person, that it feels gentle, kind, and loving to them every time. However, when you're that kind of person, or you have those kinds of people in your life, you're a lot better off, because even though it might hurt for the moment, you're going to learn something that needs to be said in your life, or a blind spot that you have, or something that needs to be recognized. So I would say, so many people, and it's not easy. It's definitely a learned thing. And sometimes it's easier than others. And sometimes when someone tells us something like this, our first thing is maybe to be offended or whatever. But if you're walking with the Lord, and you do receive something like that from a person, bring it to Him. Like, Lord, is there truth to this? The Lord will tell you, like, oh no, He'll point out to you, there's some things that come to you and you just need to let them roll off your back and not let them have any effect on you. But there are other things that you need to bring them to the Lord and allow Him to speak truth. I'm like, wow, Lord, is that really a blind spot? Or, is there truth to this? And let the Lord walk you through that, and thank Him when He sends people into your life who cause wounds to you out of care and concern, and ask Him to teach you to be that way as well. It's such a blessing. Like I said, I don't always accept it perfectly. I don't always deliver it perfectly, but the Lord will teach us and train us, and we'll get better as we go. And, you know who your friends are. And also the part about the flattery, a friend multiplies kisses. If you have people around you who are only always flattering you, telling you what feels good and tickles your ears, you have to ask yourself, is that a true friend? Is that true love, that someone just tells me what I want to hear, what makes me feel good? However, it's going to harm me down the line, or it's delivering me into the wrong pathway of my life. These are serious questions to ask and bring before the Lord, and read the Bible about what it says. All right, that's it for today.